No, it's on for time. Okay, so think about, I think Rondi asked me, actually, to submit to this. Someone did, so I was like, I'm not gonna, I don't have anything relevant for an addiction anthology. But, Rondi or someone else asked me to do that, and I thought about it, and I kind of realized something that people have been talking about so far. So my grandfather was like a violent alcoholic, and he beat my grandmother. My dad, I guess he was allergic to alcohol or something, but he didn't drink, but he still had an addictive personality. So, he smoked cigarettes, but the weird thing that he did was he had an addiction to bidding on items on eBay, like eBay auctions. And so he was kind of like a hoarder, but specifically the whole auction aspect of it. So he was really addicted to that. And so it's kind of weird how there are obvious material addictions, but then there are also just you can be addicted to something that's immaterial. So, there are poems in here about relationships and things like that. So, that was my grandfather, alcohol, my father, eBay, me. Weird in a different way, so here's this thing. It's called A Happier Ending. I am addicted to murder mysteries and other stories where there are people dedicated towards uncovering the truth behind a death. People who flash badges to ask questions of surviving friends, family, co-workers, neighbors, to glean secondhand fragments of the dead. In these stories, detectives and investigators are driven by curiosity, by a sense of justice, by a desire to uncover a murderer motive, asking, what was your relationship to the victim? Was she acting strangely in the days leading up to her death? Is there anyone who would want her dead? I'm addicted to tactical role-playing games. Maybe it's because they portray the way failure is always a possibility, but one reducible by teamwork, the way all heroes have vulnerabilities, compensated by the support of their friends, how their plots depict revolutions starting small, sputtering and stuttering, little more than luster and hot blood, and how the seeds of tyranny can sprout back up at any time, and how good people sometimes pick the wrong side to fight for, how comrades in arms can disagree on what a right side would be shaped like, and how abruptly and unexpectedly a hero can be isolated by the enemy from a sudden pileup of hasty actions, because such games play like chess, where every piece possesses strengths and weaknesses, recognizing that isolation will kill even a queen. Maybe it's the subtitles of these games. Save the light, absence of justice, double survivor, let us cling together, we'll never fight alone. I'm addicted to fictions and simulations of life. It is nothing more than escapism, nothing more than abject denial of everything I learned at your funeral and after. No one was investigating. They were telling stories, bright stories, springtime stories, denial stories, whitewash stories. If she was really as happy as you say, then why did she kill herself? Stories. The pastors told a story too. A story of a girl who had no name, who through God's grace survived her fall for a little while longer, long enough to be driven to the ER, long enough for her family to arrive, long enough for her to ask God for forgiveness, for amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like her who spared the gift of life she didn't deserve, that none of us deserved, they sang at her service. A story where, by the grace of God, she lingered long enough to tell her brother. She was sorry. She jumped because she was angry at her father, who shed tears as so many churchgoers who had never spoken to her offered their condolences to him. Except no, they didn't tell that part. That part is a deleted scene. The test audience did not respond well. They demanded a happier ending.